In the beginning, Meghan Markle was seen as a breath of fresh air for the British monarchy, a successful actress, a vocal advocate for women's rights, and a modern woman who seemed to represent a bridge between tradition and the new age. When she walked down the aisle to marry Prince Harry, the world watched with hope. Queen Elizabeth II herself welcomed Meghan with open arms, integrating her into royal duties faster than almost any predecessor. Within months, she was traveling alongside the late Queen, a privilege usually earned over years. But the fairy tale quickly began to unravel. The decision to step back from royal duties, famously dubbed Megxit, wasn't the problem. The monarchy doesn't trap its members. The issue was the execution. Announcing such a monumental departure publicly before discussions with the palace were finalized left the Queen scrambling. It felt like a breach of trust that would never truly heal. Then came the Oprah interview. While the world struggled with the pandemic, Meghan and Harry sat down to air grievances that shocked the globe. Accusations of internal racism regarding their unborn child's skin tone placed the monarchy under a spotlight of scrutiny it hadn't seen in decades. This happened while Prince Philip lay in a hospital bed, creating a perception of a woman who prioritized her narrative over the family's stability. For many, this wasn't just about seeking freedom. It was about burning bridges with the very institution that had given her a global platform. The mockery of royal traditions, like the exaggerated curtsy in her Netflix documentary, further alienated those who saw it as a sign of disrespect toward a 90-year-old monarch who had dedicated her entire life to service. Every step seemed calculated to paint Meghan as the victim of a cold, unfeeling institution. But for observers, the contradictions started to pile up. One of the core reasons for the growing public disdain is a perceived lack of authenticity. Meghan often presented herself as someone who knew nothing about the royal family before meeting Harry. Yet old photos emerged of her posing outside Buckingham Palace as a teenager. This narrative of innocence felt forced to those who knew she had long been interested in the British royals. Then there are the claims of bullying. Reports from palace staff describe an environment of intense pressure and for AM emails. While Meghan's camp denied these allegations, the high turnover of her personal staff told a different story. The Queen reportedly even had to intervene, reminding Meghan that everyone in the palace deserves respect. Beyond the palace walls, her public appearances often felt like staged PR stunts. Her visit to the Uvalde Memorial after a tragic school shooting was criticized for the presence of professional photographers, turning a moment of mourning into what looked like a photo opportunity. But perhaps most striking is her attempt to mirror Princess Diana. From wearing identical jewelry to mimicking specific fashion choices and charity poses, critics felt Meghan was trying to become Diana 2.0 rather than establishing her own identity. This comparison was reinforced by Harry himself, who often drew parallels between his wife's struggles and his mother's tragic end. However, the public saw a difference. Diana worked within the system for years, whereas Meghan seemed to reject the moment it didn't suit her. The constant demand for privacy while simultaneously releasing tell-all books, documentaries, and podcasts created a paradox that many found exhausting. You cannot ask for the world to leave you alone while inviting camera crews into your living room. This victimhood narrative, despite living in a multi-million-dollar mansion and holding titles of nobility, made it difficult for the average person to empathize. The shift in Harry's personality, from the cheerful, beloved prince to a man who seemed resentful of his family, was also blamed on Meghan's influence, leading many to believe she had fundamentally changed him for the worse. The fallout wasn't just with the British royals. It extended to Meghan's own family. Her father, Thomas Markle, has been estranged since before the wedding. Despite his public pleas and health scares, Meghan has maintained a wall of silence. For many, the refusal to visit a sick father while traveling the world for media events painted a picture of coldness. Then there is the relationship with Prince William and Princess Catherine. What was once hoped to be a Fab Four became a bitter rivalry. The story of the flower girl dresses, where Meghan claimed Catherine made her cry, while palace sources claimed the opposite, marked a point of no return. Meghan's tendency to launch business ventures or make announcements at the same time as senior royals, like launching a brand during Catherine's return to duties after cancer treatment, was seen as a calculated attempt to steal the spotlight. This competitive nature suggested that Meghan didn't just want to be a part of the family. She wanted to be the star. Her use of the Duchess of Sussex title for commercial gains while criticizing the institution that gave it to her is another point of contention. From Netflix deals that failed to deliver consistent content to a Spotify partnership that ended with executives calling them grifters, the professional shine began to fade. Perhaps the most telling sign is the disappearing circle of her old friends. One by one, those who were close to her before her royal rise have vanished from her life without explanation. In public speeches, like the one at the Young World Summit, where she mentioned herself 34 times in 7 minutes, the focus always returns to Meghan. This perceived narcissism and the endless cycle of drama have led to public exhaustion. People aren't just reacting to individual events. They are reacting to a pattern of behavior that prioritizes self-promotion and victimhood over duty and family. As the dust settles, the image of the happy prince and his Hollywood bride have been replaced by a narrative of conflict, leaves many wondering if the price of their freedom was worth the bridges burned along the way.